We are looking at example 1, and so we are going to start solving equations. So step 1 is their addition or subtraction. We can see over here that there's a subtraction sign because we have x minus 5. So there is subtraction happening in this equation. What is the inverse? Well, the inverse is the opposite of subtraction. So it undoes subtraction. So whenever we have PEMDAS, we have our P, which is our parentheses, our exponents, we have multiplication and division, and then we have addition and subtraction. Typically, we start at the top. I just erased the line. We start at the top and we work our way down. When solving equations, we actually work from the bottom and go to the top. So right now we are at addition and subtraction. And we have subtraction in our equation, so we're going to do the opposite. So we're going to stay on the same level, and so that means we are going to use addition. So do the inverse of the equation to both sides. First, we're going to draw a line down the equal sign. This allows us to see where we need to keep the equation balanced. Like we said up here, we don't want it to fall over. Whatever we do to one side, we have to do the other, or else it's not balanced, it's not equal. So since we're going to try to get this x by itself, we are going to undo the subtraction by adding 5 to this side of the equation. Negative 5, we think of it as a negative, so negative 5 plus 5 gives me 0. So now I have x plus 0 on this side of the equation. And whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. I have to keep it balanced. It's like adding 5 pounds to one side of our barbell. Now I have to add 5 to the other side. So negative 1 plus 5 gives me 4. So we actually don't have to write a 0. A lot of the times you'll see us just X out that side of the equation because we've already undone it, and we know that 0 is implied. So we have x on this side equals 4 on the other side of our equation. So to double check, we are going to plug in what we just found out for x. So we had x minus 5 equals negative 1. So now we get rid of that x, and we're going to put that 4 where the x was. So 4 minus 5 gives us negative 1, and negative 1 is equal to negative 1. So we know that we got that answer right. So this 4 is what we would put into big ideas. That's our answer. And then down here is just checking our work. So what's nice is we can actually check to make sure that every single answer that we get is correct. So on your test, on your homework, no matter what it is, we can always plug in our answer to that equation and make sure that we got it right. If we didn't, then we need to go back to our equation up here where we solved it, and we need to fix it. So let's do another example. We have y plus 3/2 equals 1/2. So we have an addition sign. So we are adding of addition. We know we have to use the stuff on the same level. And here's where we're at. So we had addition, so that means we need to subtract. So now we're going to do the inverse of the equation to both sides. So we draw our line, and we are subtracting 3/2. So 3/2 minus 3/2 gives us 0. And I have y plus 0 equals. And now whatever I do to this side of the equation, I have to do the other side. So I subtract 3/2 from the other side of the equation. I'm going to write it sideways, so 1/2 minus 3/2. And remember, from chapter 1, we do keep, change, change. So we keep the first one, we change to addition, we switch the sign. Now we have different signs. So we're going to subtract 3 minus 1 is 2. And then we keep our denominator and we take the sign of our larger number. So y equals -2 divided by 2 is just -1. So my answer is y equals -1. I'm going to check my answer over here because I kind of took up a lot of space. So now let's plug it in. -1 plus 3/2 equals 1/2. So we know every fraction is actually over 1. And I need to make a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply by 2 on top and bottom. So now I have -2 over 2 plus 3 over 2. These are different signs, so we subtract. 3 minus 2 is 1, and we keep our denominator. So these are equal, so we know we got our answer right. Y does equal -1. So my answer is -1. I want you to do the try-its on your own, and then you'll check the next video to check your answers with mine. When you do this, make sure that you also go down and check your answers by plugging in what you got.